Welcome back to Sleepy English Academy. Today, we'll be learning English through audio listening. So, get comfortable and close your eyes.
Once upon a time, in a garden filled with buzzing bumblebees and sunshine, lived a tiny ladybug named Lucy. Lucy wasn't just any ladybug. She had 7 spots, one more than all the other ladybugs. All the other ladybugs had 6 spots, and they loved to play together. They would fly in circles, climb the tall grass stems, and have races to see who could find the juiciest aphids, ladybug snacks. But whenever Lucy tried to join their games, they would giggle and say, "Not you, Lucy. You have 7 spots. That's too many." Lucy felt sad. She just wanted to play with her friends. One day, a wise old butterfly named Mr. Monarch saw Lucy sitting alone by a flower. "Why the long face, little one?" he fluttered down and asked kindly. Lucy sniffed. "The other ladybugs won't play with me because I have 7 spots." Mr. Monarch chuckled. "But that's what makes you special, Lucy. Don't you see? 7 is a lucky number. It brings good fortune." Lucy wasn't so sure. But then, a strong wind blew through the garden, shaking the flowers and scattering the aphids. All the ladybugs panicked except Lucy, with her extra strong wings, because of her 7 spots, of course. She flew up high and saw a safe place for them to land, a big, sturdy sunflower. One by one, the other ladybugs fluttered over, relieved and a little ashamed. "Thank you, Lucy," they said. "We're sorry we were silly." From that day on, Lucy wasn't left out anymore. Her 7 spots became her lucky charm, and she even helped the other ladybugs find even more aphids. They all learned that being different is what makes you special, and a true friend is someone who plays with you no matter how many spots you have. My dear listener, I am new to YouTube. Please subscribe to my channel. Thank you.
In a cozy cottage nestled amongst rolling hills lived a young firefly named Flick. Unlike other fireflies who lit up a vibrant yellow, Flick only produced a dim, greenish glow. He practiced flashing his light on and off, hoping it would be bright and beautiful like the others, but it always remained faint. Feeling discouraged, Flick would hide during twilight when all the fireflies gathered for their nightly light show. He'd watch from afar, mesmerized by the dazzling display of golden lights dancing in the air. One evening, a grumpy old owl named Hootington landed on the windowsill. "Why the glum face, little one?" Hootington hooted. Flick, startled, explained his sadness. Hootington chuckled. "Your light may be different, Flick, but that doesn't make it less special. Look." He pointed his wing towards a nearby pond. There, a tiny turtle was struggling to climb a slippery rock, unable to see in the fading light. Hesitantly, Flick flew down close to the turtle. His greenish glow, perfect for seeing in the dark, illuminated the rock for the turtle. With renewed hope, the turtle climbed to safety. Flick's heart fluttered with joy. His light, though different, had helped someone. From then on, Flick embraced his unique glow. He would fly near owls searching for prey, illuminating their path with his greenish light. The other fireflies, realizing the value of Flick's special light, started including him in their shows, creating dazzling patterns with their combined colors. Flick learned that being different wasn't a weakness, it was his strength. His unique light helped him find his purpose and showed everyone that beauty comes in all forms, even a gentle, greenish glow.
Once upon a time, in a bustling market town, lived a curious little cat named Mittens. Unlike other cats who chased after yarn balls and napped in sunbeams, Mittens craved adventure. Every morning, she'd peek out the window, longing to explore the world beyond the cozy bakery she called home. One day, a basket overflowing with colorful berries arrived at the bakery. As the baker unpacked, a single, plump strawberry tumbled out and rolled towards the open window. In a flash, Mittens was out, chasing the strawberry down the cobblestone street. The strawberry led her on a whimsical journey. It bounced off a flower cart, sending petals fluttering, then rolled under a cobbler's bench, leaving a trail of red juice. Finally, it landed by the riverbank, nestled amongst the tall reeds. Disappointed, Mittens thought she'd lost the strawberry. But then, a tiny voice squeaked, "Excuse me, miss, is that mine?" A field mouse with twitchy whiskers peeked out. Mittens explained how she'd followed the strawberry on a grand adventure. The field mouse, named Millie, giggled. Well, it certainly wasn't a boring journey for a strawberry. Millie invited Mittens to explore the riverbank. They discovered a hidden waterfall, chased playful butterflies, and even shared a picnic of berries and seeds. As the sun began to set, Mittens knew it was time to return. Millie walked her back to the bakery, promising to visit soon. Back in the warm kitchen, the baker smiled at Mittens, relieved she was safe. That night, curled up in a basket of flour sacks, Mittens realized her adventure, though unplanned, had brought her a new friend. She learned that sometimes, the greatest discoveries happen when you step outside your comfort zone and chase after a rolling strawberry.
In a cloud city high above the world lived a fluffy white cloud named Nimbus. Unlike other clouds who drifted lazily in the sky, Nimbus yearned to create rain. He'd puff and billow, trying to squeeze out even a sprinkle, but nothing ever came. The other clouds teased him. "Nimbus will never rain," they'd laugh. "He's just a fluffy show-off." Nimbus felt discouraged. He longed to be a real rain cloud, watering the thirsty plants and flowers below. One sunny morning, a hot air balloon drifted near the cloud city. Inside were two children, a boy named Leo and a girl named Maya. They pointed excitedly at the fluffy clouds. "Look, Maya. That one looks like a giant marshmallow," Leo exclaimed. Maya giggled. "I wonder if it tastes like one." Nimbus overheard them. An idea sparked in his tiny cloud droplet heart. He puffed himself up as round as he could, then wobbled towards the hot air balloon. The children squealed in delight. "It's following us," Maya cried. Nimbus dipped his cottony form below the balloon's basket, brushing it gently. Suddenly, a cool mist enveloped the children. They shrieked with surprise, then burst out laughing. "It's raining," Leo shouted. "But it's ticklish rain." Nimbus, even though he hadn't produced a real downpour, felt a sense of accomplishment. He'd brought joy to the children and maybe, just maybe, a little taste of rain from the cloud city high above. From that day on, Nimbus continued to practice puffing and billowing. He knew that even if he couldn't reign like the others, he could still find ways to be special and bring happiness to those below. He learned that being different wasn't a weakness. It was a chance to create something unique and wonderful. Once upon a time, in a tide pool teeming with life, lived a tiny hermit crab named Shelley. Unlike other hermit crabs who preferred large, beautiful shells, Shelley was stuck in a chipped and bumpy old shell. He longed to trade it in for a grand one with spiky points or colorful patterns, but all the good shells were either too big or too small. One day, a ferocious storm raged across the ocean. The waves crashed against the rocks, tossing the tide pool creatures this way and that. Shelley clung to his shell for dear life, feeling terribly scared. Suddenly, a large wave swept him away, tumbling him through the churning water. When the storm finally subsided, Shelley found himself washed ashore on a sandy beach, far from his home. Exhausted and scared, he huddled in his shell, feeling utterly lost. But then, a gentle voice startled him. "Hello there, little one. Are you all right?" Shelley peeked out. A wise old sea turtle named Shelley, yes, they shared the same name, was looking down at him with concern. Shelley explained his predicament, about the storm and his chipped, ugly shell. The old turtle chuckled. "Little one," she said, "your shell may not be fancy, but it's protected you through a terrible storm. It may not be beautiful to others, but it's perfect for you." Shelley looked closer at his shell. He noticed tiny barnacles clinging to it, creating a unique pattern. He saw how perfectly it fit his body, keeping him safe and comfortable. The old turtle nudged him with her flipper. "Come, little Shelley. Let's explore this new beach together." Shelley, feeling a newfound confidence, ventured out with the wise turtle. They explored tide pools filled with new creatures, built sandcastles, and even watched a pod of dolphins playing in the waves. By the time the tide started rising, Shelley knew it was time to head back home. He thanked the old turtle for her kindness and her words of wisdom. He realized that true beauty wasn't about having the fanciest shell, it was about finding comfort and adventure in what you already have. Shelley returned to his home tide pool, no longer ashamed of his chipped shell. He shared stories of his adventure with his friends, and they all learned to appreciate their own unique shells, bumps and all. After all, sometimes the most beautiful things are the ones that have weathered the storm. In a sun-dappled meadow lived a tiny bumblebee named Bumble. Unlike other bumblebees who buzzed from flower to flower collecting pollen, Bumble had a terrible sense of smell. He'd hover over the most fragrant blooms, his fuzzy body twitching in confusion, unable to distinguish the sweet nectar from the plain leaves. The other bees would giggle and zoom past him. Poor Bumble, they'd buzz. He'll never find any honey with such a weak nose. Bumble felt discouraged. He longed to contribute to the hive, to fill his little legs with pollen like the others. One day, a strong wind swept through the meadow, knocking over a flower pot from a nearby windowsill. Out tumbled a jumble of colorful paints and a paintbrush. Bumble, curious as ever, hovered closer. He dipped his fuzzy leg in a bright blue paint, then landed on a nearby daisy. As he touched the petal, a spark of inspiration struck him. He dipped his legs in different colors, then began to paint on the daisy. Soon, the once plain flower was transformed into a vibrant masterpiece. A little girl with bright eyes peeked out the window. She gasped and ran outside, her face filled with wonder. "Look, Mommy, the flowers are painting themselves," she exclaimed. News of the painting flowers spread like wildfire. Soon, children from all over the meadow gathered to watch Bumble at work. He painted stripes on tiger lilies, polka dots on daisies, and swirling patterns on sunflowers. The meadow, once ordinary, became a breathtaking display of color. The other bees, who had initially mocked Bumble, now looked on in awe. They realized that even without a strong sense of smell, Bumble possessed a unique talent that brought joy to everyone around him. Bumble, no longer seen as the odd one out, became a local celebrity. He learned that being different wasn't a weakness, it was an opportunity to create something beautiful and unexpected. His unique vision transformed the meadow, proving that even the smallest bee could create a masterpiece. In a crystal-clear stream nestled between rolling hills lived a pebble named Pete. Unlike the other pebbles, smooth and polished by the current, Pete was rough and bumpy, covered in tiny holes and crevices. He longed to be smooth and sleek, rolling effortlessly with the flow of the stream. The other pebbles teased him. "Look at Pete, all bumpy and uneven." They'd chortle as they tumbled downstream. Pete felt discouraged. He dreamed of racing with the current, feeling the rush of water propel him forward. One sunny afternoon, a group of children came skipping along the bank. They spotted Pete nestled amongst the other pebbles. "Look!" a little girl with bright eyes exclaimed. "That one's different. It looks like a little house for tiny creatures." The other children gathered around, peering into Pete's crevices with fascination. They saw a tiny ladybug taking shelter from the sun, a family of water striders bustling about, and even a miniature spider weaving a delicate web. Pete, for the first time, felt a surge of pride. His bumps and holes, once a source of self-consciousness, were now a haven for tiny creatures. He realized he wasn't just a pebble. He was a tiny ecosystem, a home for a miniature world. The children, filled with wonder, carefully placed Pete in a shallow pool at the edge of the stream. They spent hours observing the busy lives of the tiny creatures living within Pete's nooks and crannies. Pete, no longer yearning to be smooth, basked in the newfound appreciation. He learned that being different wasn't a flaw, it was what made him special. He offered a unique habitat for others, a reminder that beauty can come in all shapes and sizes, even a bumpy, uneven pebble.
Once upon a time, nestled amongst towering sunflowers, lived a tiny ladybug named Luna. Unlike other ladybugs who feasted on aphids, Luna had a peculiar taste for music. While her friends munched happily on leaves, Luna would perch on a sunflower stem, swaying back and forth as the wind rustled the petals, creating a gentle melody. The other ladybugs found it strange. "Why waste your time on silly sounds, Luna?" they'd say. "There are plenty of aphids to eat." Luna felt out of place. She loved the rhythm of the wind, the chirp of crickets, and the buzzing of bees, but none of her friends seemed to understand. One sunny afternoon, a grumpy old crow named Corvus landed on a nearby sunflower. He looked down at Luna, perched on the edge of a petal, humming a soft tune. "What in the world are you doing, little bug?" he croaked. Luna explained her love for music. Corvus scoffed. "Music? Sounds like a waste of time for a ladybug." But then, a strong gust of wind swept through the field, knocking over a young sunflower. A tiny bumblebee, trapped under the fallen bloom, buzzed frantically. Luna, her heart pounding, knew she had to help. Taking a deep breath, Luna flew towards the sunflower. She landed on a petal and began to hum a loud, clear melody. The sound vibrated through the field, reaching the bee trapped underneath. As if guided by the music, a group of ants, alerted by the sound, scurried towards the fallen sunflower. Together, they lifted the heavy bloom, freeing the trapped bee. Luna watched with relief as the bee buzzed away, showering her with thanks. Corvus, who had watched the whole scene unfold, blinked in surprise. "Well, he finally croaked. "Your music actually helped someone." From that day on, Luna's music wasn't seen as strange anymore. The other ladybugs listened with newfound appreciation as she created melodies with the wind and the chirping crickets. They learned that being different wasn't a bad thing, and sometimes, a love for music, even for a ladybug, could bring everyone together and even save the day.
In a bustling coral reef teeming with colorful fish, lived a tiny seahorse named Shelley. Unlike other seahorses, who clung tightly to swaying seaweed, Shelley longed for adventure. He dreamt of exploring the vast ocean beyond the reef, meeting majestic whales and playful dolphins. The other seahorses chuckled. "Seahorses don't swim, silly," they'd say. "We hold on tight and let the current take us." Shelley felt frustrated. He yearned to explore the wonders hidden beneath the waves. One day, a fierce storm raged across the ocean. The current grew strong, tearing at the seaweed, sending the seahorses tumbling through the water. Shelley, surprisingly, found himself enjoying the swirling current, feeling a sense of freedom he'd never known. Suddenly, he bumped into a lost baby clownfish, separated from its family. The little clownfish, tears shimmering in its eyes, whimpered, "I can't find my mommy." Shelley, despite his lack of swimming experience, knew he had to help. He remembered his dream of exploring the ocean and decided to use it for good. Using his curly tail as a rudder and his tiny fins for propulsion, Shelley steered himself and the baby clownfish through the swirling current. He remembered landmarks from his daydreams: a giant clam with shimmering pearls, a sunken ship with swaying seaweed, and used them to navigate. Finally, after a thrilling journey, they spotted a familiar orange anemone, the home of the clownfish family. The reunion was filled with joyful tears and grateful squeaks. The baby clownfish's parents showered Shelley with thanks, amazed by the brave little seahorse who didn't let his lack of swimming stop him from helping. News of Shelley's bravery spread throughout the reef. The other seahorses, who once teased him, now looked at him with newfound respect. Shelley, no longer afraid to be different, continued to explore the reef in his own unique way, using his adventurous spirit to help those in need. He learned that even the smallest seahorse, who couldn't quite swim, could be a hero with a big heart and a dream to explore. In a cozy burrow beneath a snoring old oak tree lived a curious little bookworm named Inky. Unlike other bookworms who feasted on dusty novels and forgotten fairy tales, Inky craved adventure stories. He longed for tales of brave knights, hidden treasures, and faraway lands. But the only books in the burrow were heavy history tomes and dry dictionaries. The other bookworms found him silly. "Why waste your time on silly stories, Inky?" They'd munch on a moldy manuscript. "There's much knowledge to be gained from the classics." Inky felt out of place. He yearned for tales of excitement, but the only stories he heard were filled with dates and long-winded speeches. One rainy afternoon, a frantic millipede named Millie tumbled into the burrow, her legs flailing. "Help!" she squeaked. "The library by the stream is overflowing. The river is rising, and all the books will be ruined." The other bookworms panicked. They'd spent generations collecting those dusty tomes. Inky, however, felt a thrill course through him. This was just like the adventure stories he craved. "Don't worry, Millie," he declared, his voice squeaking with excitement. "I'll save the books." The other bookworms stared at him, bewildered. But Inky, fueled by his love for adventure stories, devised a plan. He rallied the younger, more nimble bookworms, forming a chain from the burrow to the library. Inch by inch, they wiggled through the damp earth, creating a safe passage for the older bookworms to transport the precious books. Finally, after hours of work, the last book was safely brought to the burrow. Millie, relieved and grateful, showered them with praise. "You saved our history, Inky," she exclaimed, "even though you like silly stories." From that day on, Inky wasn't seen as strange anymore. The other bookworms, inspired by his bravery and quick thinking, started requesting adventure stories from Millie. They learned that even a love for silly stories could lead to a grand adventure, and that everyone, even a bookworm who preferred knights and dragons, had a valuable role to play.